Then we got LucifroN versus Beasty. Two completely different environments of practice, right? You've got Beasty, who has been taking a break from competitive. So his practice comes from, creating content, maybe having a bit of meaningful fun, free-for-alls, playing some Outback Octagon, whatnot. Whereas LucifroN, yeah, he's got the Outback Octagon in there, but he's been playing the KPMMs. He's been scrimming with his brother regularly. And as we know, Vortex and LucifroN are another example of those type of people that look fierce at new patches because of the amount of different permutations they're able to grind out.
It really is a massive advantage when you think about it. I think that's, besides obviously a lot of talent and impeccable hard work from this top 8, top 10 quadrant, I think having a person that you're able to reliably lean on for practice, for opinions, is such an invaluable resource to have. And everyone in the top 10 or top 8 for that matter has that person, right? Every single one of them. Vortex and LucifroN, Marine Lord in the past had Beasty, but now has Anatand, right? I know B still plays a lot with Anatand as well. Of course, the Canadian brothers. And every single one of them, I spoke to them about this. They really do admit that it makes a huge difference, and it's an invaluable resource to have, and a big reason that they do so well. So leaning into that is going to make all the difference here.
You even had the brainchilds in the East, right? You had like Scarlet Devil, CSO, Louis MT. I think like to the point that Marindle was bringing up as well, I think maybe Louis MT struggled a bit more with the fact that I don't think CSO is as active in those scrim type environments anymore, right? Like he's always been a player who's quite like his team games. But when you incubate these different zones, you get kind of wacky different strats coming out, and it's what I call the classic meta clash. You walk into a tournament confident that your idea is right, then you quickly have to discover with great humbleness that maybe 20% of what you thought was correct actually was.
That's what's really interesting, how each of these practice bubbles comes up with different ideas as to what's good, and then they get to put them to the test when it comes to these tournaments. It's always so exciting to watch happen, and plenty of excitement more to come, because we see the draft fully fledged out before our very eyes here. And Lancaster, still a bit of a boogeyman. They've had a shave, right? I think it was 20 less health, I believe, in Feudal Age for the Lords. Less damage as well, 2 less damage, I believe. Decent numbers there, but the thing is with Lancaster, the Lords were potent, for sure. But what's really strong about them is that aura, right? It's the 5% health additionally per Lord. The individual stats don't matter too much. I mean, as long as you can keep them alive, which, I mean, sure, 20% health hurts a little bit, but it's still so easy to pull them back, heal them, and then produce them yet again. And then besides that, the mana economy, right? The massive pump is still there, so still priority placed on the ban. And then things open up a little bit, right? We see China being taken away from Beasty and Japanese taken away from LucifroN. These two civilizations feel so close nowadays, right? And you see then they ban the other one from the other one, right? So then LucifroN loses China, Beasty loses Japanese. There's going to be LucifroN taking the Malians very first, and then Beasty taking Sengoku as his pick after LucifroN. And these make a lot of sense, right? The thing is, there's so many great civilizations to pick initially, like Byzantines is up there as well, but often these are more susceptible to getting counterpicked, like Byzantines, right? Byzantines has very high highs, very low lows, whereas something like Sengoku and Malians is way more reliable, so those are prioritized first. And then we see the secondary picks, right? Ayyubids for LucifroN, which Ayyubids, honestly, out of nowhere, has started seeing quite a come up, right? Because of a very specific unit, let's put it. And it is, of course, that Manjanique in the Castle Age.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful time if you can find your way there. And even earlier, like, healing. If there's anything that people have taken away from the Tukulak Dynasty's introduction to Age of Empires 4, it's that healing in Feudal Age is pretty OP. And of course, Ayyubids have strategies there. I'd argue that we're starting to move to the point where the logistics wing is the most chosen of the wings for the Feudal Age, just because of the flex. Like, it's great for going fast castle against aggro play, because you can just basically stand on the gold and gather without dying. Or it's great for stopping fast castle players with just 1 or 2 units. So not surprised that comes out early. Not surprised it's been banned out here, actually. Like, it's a timing civ that can go into those Manjaniques as well on a map that would have been good for it, King of the Hill. Instead, we are going to be, like, that's a bit interesting, actually, that the Byzantines get sniped out, and he lets Beasty have Roose on arguably the best map.
I think it makes a little bit of sense nowadays, right? I mean, Roose has struggled to get a foothold since their nerfs at the season's end. Now they got a little buff. 25 wood cheaper hunting cabins, and on this map especially, that should make quite a big difference. But I feel like even at the peak with Pro Scouts, they kind of struggled up against the Ottomans a little bit. The Sipahi is no better horseman against what was their prime unit, the Horse Archer. On top of that, it's quite interesting seeing Beastie's draft, I think, because we have French JD and Tughlaq Delhi as well. Just the main civ and his variants after Byzantines. That's all he needs. A bit of that lean into the favoritism that Mringdod mentioned for Louis MT as well. But the game is now on the way. Beastie, in the color yellow, spawning on the east side of King of the Hill here as the Roose, facing LucifroN in the color red as the Ottomans, who's going to start straight away with the barracks. Very aggressive opening here from LucifroN.
Oh, yes. Game number 1 of this elimination series, and I can't believe it. It's just the beginning of eliminations. You never think you'd be saying LucifroN and Beastie for that. But here we are. King of the Hill. Could easily quickly make you feel like who's king of the castle and only a best of 5. I mean, Beastie is a good traditional pick with the Roose. It's very strong, always has been on this map. Arguably the best map you could have picked on. And he even gets a great spawn to start off with. Look at that tree line. Yeah, this is actually ideal. Getting the secondary tree line next to the main lets you get more wood in range of the hunting cabin for better gold gen.
It is great value, especially nowadays. You can see the gold generation coming in quite soon. We'll be able to have a look. And it's going to be quite juicy indeed. Naturally, of course, we have the corner. The main reason, well, the second main reason Roose is so potent here. You can get the most incredible meditation gardens in that, the most incredible high trade house, excuse me, in that corner once the time comes. Well, LucifroN has different plans. He doesn't want to let any of those shenanigans happen as he looks to directly contest these hunting cabins here. And that's one disadvantage for Roose here on this map, is the fact that the woodline is so far away. To get maximal value from these hunting cabins, you have to place them quite far out of TC range. He was thinking about that wall, but he realizes it's too little too late.
Yeah. So at this point, you can't go for it. I mean, I guess it's like, I'm going to say I'm kind of surprised, but I guess I'm not. People just don't like walling these days, even a small wall like that. Just feels like it's still so expensive in the mindset of the player, especially when you're going for a double hunting cabin beginning.
Exactly. It's something that feels in theory greedy, but it's all Roose does nowadays. I can't remember the last time I've seen a single hunting cabin opening, though it has happened relatively recently. Actually, Beastie, he's going full throttle with the investment here. It's just a straight up wooden fortress here to make sure this gets protected. And it's a good positioning, in fairness. It's going to protect the left one there, which is the most exposed one. And it's going to wall at the same time on the right side here. So big investment here from Beastie. But it was a big investment from LucifroN in turn. Up to 3 spears now. And ooh, that's a nice little pull away from Beastie. He's gonna keep that wall going and building. It looks like that segment is also in range of the TC, so nice defense here. But I think the second hunting cabin is not in range, if I'm not mistaken, of the wooden fortress.
No. That's so infuriating. I mean, well, he can repair though, right? So it's not too bad. It just depends if he wants to keep the scouts here or start moving them elsewhere. But not really any reason to rush them out right now, not until you release feudal age.
That's quite crazy, though. I mean, it makes sense that the ones on the right are not in range, but even the ones on the left, it's not actually in range, it looked like. I was certain that that's in range, but there is a sweet spot there where it isn't. Maybe see it again here. Oh. What? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. What am I seeing, KP?
Range indicators?
Squircle.
Just at this point, yeah, the squircles. We can't forget this. Why didn't they just actually make a squircle? For those who don't know, like basically a square with curved corners. It's a squircle. It's literally how the ranges work on buildings. I don't know why they didn't just add that to the UI. I guess in their mind, like people just like circles more. But then why didn't we just use circles?
It technically is in the UI if you really want to stretch it. I mean, you know, if we zoom in, we can have a little look at the range indicator. You will see that there are dots as well as slightly protruding forward sort of spikes on the range that show that in those specific segments, this tiny fractional tile of extra range, which is just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's already a weird opening, though. Like, even though Beasty is now fine and insulated, I think LucifroN has to be happy with this, right? Like, do you feel like the Spearman got enough value here?
I think so, right? Considering that these spearmen will continuously provide value later on, you will need them to harass the pro scouts, deal with knights potentially, which, I mean, is the only way Roose has a chance of fighting in feudal age, if we're being realistic in this matchup, is those feudal age knights. It is going to be good. I mean, the wooden fortress is going to continuously give value as well. You will need it at some point for that boosted wood gathering. At the same time, invested into these walls, are forced to repair these hunting cabins. It really hurts if you're Beasty. And although you haven't lost them, you know, the resources are suffering for it. And you can see the delay only now at 6 minutes just before is professional scouts in queue, and this is post buff on the cost of the hunting cabins, where Roose can get a tremendously fast pro scouts timing. Earliest can be around 4:15 or so, I believe, nowadays, and yeah, it's quite something to witness. And Beasty, I think he's not happy with it.
Already opening up archers, which does feel a little bit rough when you know Sipahi are coming, but when you see this many spearmen, you have no real choice but to do so. It's just a follow-up detail that LucifroN's already being a nuisance blocking that deer timing. Wonder, Imam point? Yep, there we go. Has to be. Healer boys coming in. So LucifroN is looking to keep up that relentless aggression.
Scout from LucifroN may have overextended just a little bit and is only one simple slap away from death at this point in time, but of course there's the same movement speed as other scouts. There is no charge on Scout, so he will get away for now and regen. So this day pack has opened up for Beasty, but the first Sipahi is on the way. Additional ones in queue. And we have the barracks only now going up for Beasty. This delay, we can see, all because of that Dark Age, really, really hurts for Beasty.
Yeah, and also just the fact you're going spears. I mean, it's becoming a little bit more common, isn't it? Once upon a time, it would have felt taboo to have to add in spears. Now just kind of more broadly accepted. And it does make sense. Like, you don't really want to be building knights when your opponent could just run away from melee and heal. But still, it does make it a bit easier for LucifroN to maneuver around. I mean, we've even seen how Sipahi, when they've got the healing, can just contest spearmen directly. Ah, like that.
Yeah, the scout went down as well. It's so painful here for Beasty already in this early game. I'm quite curious about the follow-up here for LucifroN. We did see even his unit production is just a little bit slowed down, but there's a good reason for that. It's the military schools. He went both of them by now, and they are already up and pumping for him. So there's great timing here for LucifroN when it comes to that. It does mean that Beasty will be able to secure this deer pack without too many issues. At the same time, so much struggle just to secure your very first and closest, safest deer pack. It never feels good, especially as Roose, as they meant to have one of the best pro scout timings in the game.
And also just the lay of the land. Like, on this type of map, it's not like you get this lucky coin flip where the deers are necessarily, like, really far away and your opponent can't imagine a world in which they intercept them, right? Like, it's kind of linear lanes here. So, like, Beasty will probably be forced to just kind of strip his safe deer north and south, which is great. But then the distance to kind of close in on that third and fourth stack, a little bit, I must say, less realistic than some of the Dry Arabia spawns we've been seeing these days.
Yeah, precisely. It's quite far out for sure, so it won't be as easy as it really should be in his mind, at least. Archer follow from LucifroN is here, and with that full tri composition in play now, it's going to be quite effective. I don't think we'll see any more space from LucifroN until Beasty adds knights, of course, but you know, without knights here for Roose, it's a bit tough. Playing full infantry against the might of Ottomans in feudal age with the Sipahi, with the archers, and of course the Mechter to round out the composition and make it really potent. It's tough. The mass is good from Beasty initially here, so he's going to be able to start securing this deer pack, but, you know, what's really the end goal here for Beasty? Is it that Castle Age? Sure, that's great. But Ottomans are great at punishing that. This map, it's a bit harder to do so. Roose still doesn't need that much gold initially. But all this delay, so many units investment here from Beasty means that the Pro Scout itself in turn loses potency. There's less food to use in that Castle Age. It's going to be a bit tougher in turn, and the Sipahi count is climbing so rapidly here for LucifroN because of those military schools. Blacksmith by now is up and running as well, further boosting that production speed. Ranged Undermesh now in quite soon for LucifroN. Beasty not far behind at all himself with it. That's going to be very handy for him here. But the mech there might be the difference maker with the Imams coming in play as well.
It's always that meta that comes down to that extra armor that you just can't match up against if you go too hard into one type of composition or just the DPS. Like, it's really nice actually because when both sides are blobbing up archers, it's just going to give you a quicker kill point, right? So on top of that, we've seen what massing Sipahi can do. It does feel like Beast needs to skip on the age. He has the right idea. The problem now, the question is always, is this enough Sipahi to kill you? It doesn't seem like a lot, but you know as well as any, Myriad, it doesn't take many to break a player.
It really doesn't. The Sipahi truly in a league of its own when it comes to Age of Empires, and LucifroN is going to show exactly why. The moment the spears get even close to them, the Sipahi have no issues disengaging, and the additional attack speed from these archers means that the spearman melts so quickly. Slight mismicro on the mech there though causes it to almost lose its life prematurely there, but Beasty is pushed away. And if we can just have a look, I don't think the whole deer pack is gathered yet. If I'm not mistaken, we can see there for sure. Oh no, there's still 3 deer here to be taken. That's, you know, pretty much half the deer pack, just under. There's 7 in 1, of course. And not even getting your home deer packs here as Roose feels absolutely terrible. High Trade House is on the way in the optimal position, but...
Look at the wall, though. This is how unsafe he feels. He knows it's greedy. He knows it's risky. And, I mean, he's actually being allowed that final tile. I think that would have stopped him. Like, that was basically the difference between being in TC range. It's kind of interesting LucifroN let that one go up.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to risk too much here, I guess, right? Just diving like that in towards the High Trade House. I mean, as I say that, he just doesn't care. He just dives directly in after the age-up finishes. Many did just got out of position here, however. None of them actually go down. LucifroN instead focusing on the army, a prudent choice in this position.
Yeah, but the Fortitude is activated, right? He's got the men-at-arms funnel coming out, so that'll be enough to kind of reset that. The archers are in now onto the villager line. Hemorrhaging losses. Now, keep in mind, LucifroN, he's full ham-fist sending this. He's got nothing in reserve food-wise. There's no tech-up that's going to be coming quickly behind this. He just needs as many kills as possible. He's going to snipe down a few more. Good gate to get through by Beasty. That wall coming in clutch in the end. But now there is a little bit of a growing concern here for LucifroN, because a men-at-arms strat can snowball quickly from these type of positions.
Beautiful micro there by LucifroN at the end, just to split the archer damage right on the cusp of the range, making sure the last 2 low HP villagers are sniped, bringing the total up to 10 here in terms of workers killed. Big damage dealt by LucifroN. But like you said, indeed, this is almost, well, completely a full committal here by LucifroN. It's committal to the extent that only now is he moving out onto those deer packs, instead prioritizing the sheer timing of this aggression up until now. But the men-at-arms numbers are building for Beasty, like you said, and when these get out of control, it's going to be a big problem. The issue is, Sipahi, as I mentioned many times before, they just kite men-at-arms like range units because of our range and speed. It's quite ludicrous to witness.
I mean, it's a tricky thing as well. Like, the other thing I'm looking at is the meta has been queued up again, right? If this is just men-at-arms, it's going to fall flat. And I think that's why you're seeing Beasty trying to reinvest into archers, because double melee armor, Sipahi can actually start to trade against those men-at-arms. That has to be his chief concern. So it's not just enough to cheese MAA rush your opponent. You actually have to double produce like 2 different unit types while being 12 workers down. It's not as simple to navigate, and I think that's a big part of why Beasty also opted to go for the monastery pretty quick. Still, wait, what?
So many
you
going
cannot
down.
gather here. You do not have a permit, and remember, horse archers are actually worse at dealing with Sipahi now than they were before.
That they are, indeed. And Beasty is prioritizing them as his main damage dealer here, which I have to find just a little bit curious, honestly. I mean, Sure, the Horse Archer can still be great, but even at Roose's peak, in the Pro Scout meta, oftentimes players specifically avoided going for the unit on this map because of the hills, because of the lack of space, and of course the priority towards the center hill, these static fights where Horse Archers cannot use their mobility to their advantage fully. The Beasty leans into them nonetheless here, now getting some space as well. Oh, well, he changes his mind about that one. Fortress gets spotted and does get stopped with the villager and the Sabahi. This still being an absolute thorn in Beastie's side. Another one villager besides the one on the hill goes down.
He's on berries as well. Like, this is the other grief point. He can't go for those deer, those ripe deer that have the great food gathering rate because there's a few Sapai back here. And now the Istanbul Imperial Palace, talk about a curveball that you would not have expected on a map that usually is decided by siege. LucifroN passes up free siege entirely.
I hope to all high that the Akinji will make an appearance here. Hear me out, KP. Akinji, destroy Horse Archers.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it. And then, like, if you scale in the castle, the damage is pretty decent to train the armored units, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the double shot, right? They absolutely melt Horse Archers, even with Boyar's Fortitude, even before this patch when they're weaker. I mean, to be fair, now it might be a little bit different, as the Horse Archers are actually better against light units, outside of something like Horsemen, because of the sheer ranged armor. But against the Akinji, they might be better. I mean, you know, we keep talking about Akinji, it's probably a copium, but I just want to see them, man. I think that unit has potential.
Wait a second. LucifroN. LucifroN. Just shiv him right now. Oh my. The split choice between running away and attacking him had me so worried there. Could you imagine? Like, this game looks so good up to that point. I mean, it's the beauty of Wallalos and what they can be. Dodges the bullet. Good God.
Yeah. When the baseline on the Wololo reaches that final, you know, beat, that's when it gets really, really scary there. But LucifroN manages to get it just in time, still dealing damage behind this with the raids. Another 3 workers have went down. Make that another one to a total of 20. And he's not done yet. He's Sepahi with the Fortitude. They melt all kinds of units, KP. Make that 21 now.
I mean, this is the power of them, right? It's the reason they're considered the best light cavalry in the game, and they prove it. Even when they're still just tier 2. And the funny part is, like, he hasn't gone for veterancy, even though he's still passively producing them. Knights are, of course, going to take the main stage soon. And we have to remember, Beasty's strategy here is pretty bad against Knights, right? Horse Archers specifically got target nerfed against armored units. They have lower base damage. Ergo, Knights handle fights for them better than they used to.
And especially, arguably one of the best knights in the game for the Ottomans, with that attack speed and the flexibility of the mech there, they can really become so potent. And once we have the improved vizier point for LucifroN to be able to produce them from the military school, we can start getting them for free as well. Because see, Beasty, he is really leaning on this center. That is, in fact, the win condition of this map at the end of the day. 3 wooden fortresses on the way for him total. And the Sacred Site timer is already 1.5 minutes almost down here for Beasty. So he does have that going for him, however, but the issue is it takes so long for that Sacred Victory to come in. And with so much economic damage dealt by LucifroN, by the point where it reaches that a push comes to shove, he might have the mass needed to completely wipe Beasty when it matters most, but that's something we'll have to see, of course. Even Springboard emplacements so early being prioritized.
It's interesting. Beasty just trying to rely on that clock, as often we see on King of the Hill. From a heavily behind position, it has to be said on economy. And really, even the military lead is kind of deceptive when it's primarily just Horse Archers here. I mean, just seeing it, up to 12 damage to double up, but of course the ranged armor increase means LucifroN barely feels a tickle. And also, like, Mass Knights, I mean, kind of gives you a very bulky unit to dive these emplacements. But I do like the idea from Beasty, because the wooden fortresses, we saw a few games of Roose recently where, like, actually rushing a castle feels like throwing, whereas mass wooden fortresses just give you that cheap, effective defense force.
It's absolutely true. The stone cost cannot be understated. So much cheaper are these fortresses while still being very tanky at the same time. The DPS per cost of upgraded fortress compared to a keep is way, way higher for these wooden fortresses. So very much worth it here for Beasty in this situation. Of course, the build time as well. The keep takes so long to build at the same time, and you can really use pathing to advantage even more with wooden fortresses, depending on the layout, than with a single large bulky keep. Beasty understands this and is going to lean into them. And as well as a full infantry composition behind this as well. I do like actually these horse archers like this from Beasty. So it's not a full investment. It's just enough to really be a threat on the map. Raiding from the north, raiding from the south, whilst building up that main military mass in the center. And it's paying dividends. 4 worker kills now for Beasty. Relic advantage too. So he's looking in better and better shape every passing minute. But, you know, we can't forget about the military schools. And this mass from LucifroN is getting very scary.
Yeah, we have to remember, like, technically that was the area that they very clearly got offed in, right? Like, horse archers, against archers even, they got an increased attack speed, but the damage still decreased there. But against villagers specifically, if there's no textiles, your kill point is no different than it used to be. You just attack quicker. So it was the one clear area. It was clear the devs were thinking about how do we keep this as a raiding unit. They're saying about raiding. This is about direct fighting. Lancers marching, Janissaries to back them up as well. 10 guns going off fast here. He has got the Saint's Blessing, giving the additional arm. That is going to matter a lot, but the Janissaries snipe the backline, going straight after the Horse Archers. He's trusting the Knights to just deliver the blow, but it's actually failing him here. Beasty able to push him back. The crossbows plus the men-at-arms making quick work of that Lancer line and putting LucifroN back as step 1 at trying to breach this.
Disaster for LucifroN here. Yeah, massive fight win there for Beasty, and that's all you need. One fight here in the center is all it takes to actually make the difference. The Saint's Blessing, in combination with those Spring Order emplacements, you can see despite having a decent military advantage there, LucifroN, the fight really wasn't even close.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the kind of power of that Saint's Blessing when you know you can actually just get that single poke out, right? You have to think of what it really is there. It's going to be the 2 damage, 1 armor. It's a huge DPS difference. And men-at-arms, it really matters there just to keep that stoic front line. I think, you know, maybe in LucifroN's mind, he overvalued the importance of this Horse Archers. I think they were quite happy just trading out against the Janissaries because, like, realistically, the Horse Archers, as we already highlighted, aren't meant to be your DPS anymore. And the other interesting part is like that Saint's Blessing against Janissaries, you know, for a unit that does 16 damage, it really did wholly put the reliance on the Lancers to break everything or the fight would fall apart. So crazy hold from Beasty. Really convincing one. After a rough start to this game, we have to remember he was down 20 economy, yet he made it look so simple when you got to one big fight. I do wonder how this is going to kind of like impact the flow of things now, actually. Like, we have to remember it's only best of 5s. Only takes 3. It's a huge boon and a morale booster out the gate, especially from this type of position. It's interesting, actually, how often we see men-at-arms strats pay off on King of the Hill now that I think about it. Just something about the linearity of the map, also the safety of relying on a single sacred site forcing a fight towards them, makes them feel like an obvious cost-efficient knight. All right, looks like Myriad is gone. To the winds. He'll be back soon. It's, you know what it is? It's probably smoke break. That's how you maintain that manly voice. So French versus Ayyubids coming up for game number 2. Remember, folks, this is an elimination series. Believe it or not, one of these 2 players will not be seen after this series. Pretty intense, actually. Like, crazy to think. I mean, in fairness, when you look at the brackets, we set a high expectation. There wasn't really much room for mercy. We were always kind of neverly trolling towards this, but the fact that we have, you know, Beasty, Marino, the 2 most decorated players in the first lower bracket round, it's still mind-boggling even now.
Are we back?
I think you're back. Did you enjoy your smoke break?
Yeah, something was a bit strange there. I mean, Virgin Media living up to their name, I guess, in terms of how they handle internet.
I tell you what, like, some of us casters are really doing a number on any hopes of EGC receiving big sponsorships, right? Thanks to Crackety, Vodafone's never going to sponsor AoE4. And now, thanks to you, Virgin Media's gone. So I guess we're all just going to have to go with Talk Talk.
Yeah, that was a strange one indeed. Or maybe EE for that matter. There's a few good options, but yeah, I think that was a questionable one. Normally it's completely fine. This very rarely happens, but trust that it happens when I'm mid speech at the end of the game there.
I was like, seems weird. No talk from Miro. We'll keep going though. And you got back just in time to see my favorite that happens so often. Sengoku attempt to be picked, Sengoku snipe. What do you reckon? Like, set your expectations. How many snipes do you think there's going to be on Sengoku this series?
Virtually every game, I think. Sengoku, even now, still just such a potent civilization. They have not only fantastic income feudal age, in the feudal age, but also an amazingly strong army in the feudal age. And although the shinobi themselves have gotten nerfed, the Yatai no longer take population, a small but significant advantage, and at the same time, the daimyo cost, sure, it's only 50 resources, but a bit cheaper, especially because stone, it's not something you want to really mine early on as Sengoku, or even Japanese for that matter. It's just very annoying to fit in there in combination with the Yatai and your already delayed feudal timing. So the fact that they can get it very organically quite early into the feudal age with just a little bit of extra gold, all you need is just 3 on gold, and you normally want that anyway for the upgrades. Sengoku just feels so cozy and reliable nowadays, even on maps where there's not a lot of stealth forest. That's why Beasty prioritized them even here on coastal cliffs where there's just very minimal stealth forest, right? So no surprise to see LucifroN getting rid of it. Instead, we have a bit of a classic matchup by now. Ayyubid up against French, and it is a counter to French, without a doubt, Ayyubid, but on this kind of a map, I think it gets a bit trickier for Ayyubids.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one, actually. Like, Malians, I understand the snipe there, right? It's very polar pick, looked really potent here. The fact that he's just willing to play French into it, like, what do you think the game plan is here for Beasty? Because it feels like you're probably going to either be attacked or struggle to stop Ayyubids attacking.
Yeah, it's just a problem at the end of the day because you need the knights to have any kind of dive point here for Beastie's French. But at the same time, there's so many great tools available for the Ayyubids to deal with that. If you're feeling big danger as the Ayyubids going into that castle age, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from going for the military reinforcement wing. And those 3 dervishes, once you get the veterancy in, they can absolutely butcher those knights. And sure, you can make archers as French, but archers is pretty much the worst unit to have when you dive. You can go for spearmen, but then pathing works against you when it comes to dives. And again, they're a terrible unit to do dives with. And if there's already some good static emplacements in from the Ayyubids, they will die very quickly, and then you can't deal with the camo lancers either. It's just very tough for French, generally speaking, in this matchup. If there is a front gold, however, for Ayyubids, that is the sort of detail that can make it way, way harder for them.
Yeah. So it's going to come down to spawn in a lot of ways. Obviously, like, pro scouts, I don't think you do pro scouts here if you're French, or do you just play the map?
I think if the Ayyubid goes very loose with that castlage, as in they go straight directly for it, there might be a good timing for you to actually go with the pro scouts directly for the Ayyubids there if it's quite forward, and take them pretty early whilst having only a couple of scouts gathering your own day behind it. Whether that's something we'll see, we'll have to keep in mind because the game is now underway. LucifroN.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
I'll have the honors, I guess. LucifroN in the color red as the Ayyubids spawning in the north side of coastal cliffs here. Up against Beasty in the color yellow. As the French, one of his best civilizations, one that has actually been an immense force for him to lean on in the past when he won up against Marine Lord, the grand finals of another great EGC tournament. Now looks to rely on it again here, and there we go. It is that front gold, KP.
And it's interesting to think of the difference in dynamics. You know, you go back, start of the year, I think a lot of people probably ranked French. They were close to S tier, weren't they, back then? Whereas Ayyubids, yeah, like maybe B, A tier. now people just keep talking about Ayyubids looking stronger and stronger. So it's definitely a potent pick for LucifroN to try to get back into it. And I mean, he has got the 4 gold, but even with that 4 gold detail, if this is a dervish wing, it is obnoxiously hilarious how often I've watched recently Ayyubid players just stick both their dervishes on the gold vein and ignore the French knights.
It's actually so oppressive, honestly. It reminds me a little bit of, well, it's a bit akin to Tuklak, just simply getting one healer elephant on the gold, and it's like, you know, that's, you don't even need a tower, that's going to do all the job you need, at least initially. It's so potent here. You need 2 knights, I think 3 actually, to even out-damage the healing of those dervishes, once the charge damage bonus runs out, that is. So, quite the key detail, but the forward gold is going to be a problem here for LucifroN if he wants to go naked. I'm curious how he's going to handle this. The food, of course, is an important detail as well. Not only do you need the gold, but you need the food as well here for LucifroN. It is going to be logistics for him. Now 110 seconds out. Beasty did opt for that Dark Age wheelbarrow, and that's normally a key detail that confirms pro scouts in a lot of cases, unless you want to move out to the day whilst you're aging up, which is also common, and very much could be on the cards here for Beastie as well, with a nice little back dare past the wood line there on the right side. The main telling factor that will determine if we see pro scouts here ahead of time is that gold count. So far, we have 3 for Beastie, but once that School of Cav is placed down, if that goes up to 4, that's pretty much pro scouts confirmed.
Like, the fact you went wheelbarrow isn't even telling. With some civs, they won't want to do wheelbarrow if they're doing pro scouts. But French, they get such a great discount that they can do both and be happy. So, let's see if he's going to pivot it over. 3 for now, still. Loggy Wing just 1 minute away. I wonder if we'll go for the Desert Raider opening. Like, there's 2 approaches here, right? Like, you can either just place the dervishes here, each side the gold, and be protected. Or you add in 1 Desert Raider and try to poke your opponent's resources. Admittedly, maybe a bit hard on this map, considering that Beastie got a back gold spawn.
Yeah, I was about to say, the Desert Raider is a great little nuisance in favor of LucifroN that Beastie will always have to deal with if he does opt for it. But there's so much less space on this map that it's harder to really have that distraction factor that it often serves. You can't pull knights as far away as you would like. You can't escape as smoothly as you normally would like with it. I'm quite curious to see if that is something he opts for. But like you mentioned, we still only have those 3 on gold, and yeah, there it is. The survival techniques coming in for Beastie. So the move out onto the day is likely imminent. And this is... it has its pros and cons, right? We're gonna have so many more knights earlier. But if LucifroN does opt to go for some units here, then suddenly you are left a bit more exposed than you would like to be on these resources outside of your base.
I wonder... Beastie... I mean, he sees this... I'm trying to think if there's any other way you go but trying to pressure this. It's just that the difficulty of pressuring it rarely ever seems to pay off for French players. Like, you'll eventually force them off a gold. I think where I've seen French get an advantage in these situations is when they pressure the gold and their opponent does something a bit greedy. You know, like opening just lances when you don't have gold access anymore. That's usually where I've seen Ayyubids fall a bit flat. Whereas, you know, if you're accepting that you can't read it straight away, maybe you just go for a few spearmen. They tend to look a lot better.
Even secondary stable already out so early for Beastie, so he's going to go full throttle indeed. But look at LucifroN. This is perhaps the greediest, most sharp timing I have ever seen from Ayyubids. 0 wood being gathered. No tower. Golden Age is just not even on LucifroN's mind right now. He just wants to get the gold ASAP and click on that age up. Which makes me wonder whether this is actually probably a military wing enforcement play. Because, you know, without a tower and anything to secure your gold, right, then... it makes sense to just go for them and have that military presence nice and early. Ball by Beastie.
You don't think industry?
Industry's possible, but I feel like that's so greedy as well, right?
Yeah. Now, my thought there is, like, he could just sell the stone to get the gold, which has been pretty popular, right? It just gives you that little insulation. But, great call. Reinforcement wing coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, makes good sense here. I wonder if LucifroN did spot that secondary stable. That would certainly be an even more reason to opt for this. Now, all we need from LucifroN is, of course, the gold for that veterancy upgrade. 125, I believe, or it might be 250. I don't remember exactly. But
250, I think?
250,
sure
eh?
250, yeah.
Quite a lot indeed, and yeah, already with the 2 knights there, looks like that won't be on the card, so I think that market might end up being a necessity.
I like that Beasty did play that ball you mentioned, though. Just gives him that kind of pump-up timing. Like, we've seen, actually, French is probably one of the single best saves in the game. I'd say at this point, alongside Ottomans. Never looking for castle and just continuing feudal against a castle opponent.
Yeah, exactly right. It's just so potent, right? The knights answer virtually all, almost, castle age units without too many issues, as long as you have enough of them. The healing from Chivalry is a big factor that enables that as well. So easy to pull back these injured knights, even an age behind. You can just heal them and come back right back into the fray. Beasty is going to continue swelling those numbers. We have no priority on any further eco upgrades. A bit unusual for most French games that we see. Normally by now we have both specialized pick and horticulture, as well as potentially broadaxe already in. Beasty is just going straight for the undermesh. He might be looking for a big dive, KP.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well, because I think even if he delays it a bit, I'm thinking about the food for LucifroN. You know, he done okay on the sheep game, but when you think about the berries, the deer locations, the fact that Beasty's on board, there's a lot of optimism towards this idea that makes sense. I mean, I still love this lumber camp setup, by the way. It's such a LucifroN type move, isn't it? It used to start with the golds. You guys remember when the gold meta started to come in, when they let you build towards them. He was one of the first players doing what I call the V for victory, where you just set up the 2 prongs. Now it's just become anything that I can wall in.
This is quite special, actually. We quite often see this in team games, actually, especially on the gold against French. You do a little closed off mining colony inside those palisade walls. Instead, it's a wood gathering colony in this case. So that's going to be nice and safe for LucifroN, because, well, I mean, that's the only resource he really has access to besides food that's relatively exposed, at least for now. The market is up at this point in time, so we should have that veterancy coming in shortly. I don't think we had it just yet, I believe.
Look like it. Desert Raiders just going to try to buy some time. They have got the Dervish to top them off. That's the other important thing here, right? Like, gold access hard, but LucifroN has picked up 2 relics. And because it's just French Knights, you can't really ever stop those relics coming home.
That's the thing. You know, earlier today I actually played a game. I was Golden Horde. Actually, no, that was last night against Ayyubids. The damage was just comical to watch, because they dealt so little damage, the Torguts, to the dervishes, that it looked like I was speeding up the healing instead of slowing it down.
It really just makes you question why you built this unit. Like, I'm French. It's obvious why I wanted to build this. Yeah. I do wonder how impactful this is going to be, actually. Like, considering LucifroN, like, could he not just raw Desert Raider to protect against this?
He very well could. He definitely could. And, you know, normally it's hard to get the resources to produce them. But every 2 minutes, you're going to have 3 of them for free. So once that second batch is out, that is the key timing where it's going to get really hard for BC to actually fight against them if the kiting is there and the dervish healing is there. Wolono comes in, as the knights find, and yeah, the damage is not enough. He doesn't want to risk it, prudently so.
But he was half HP. Why couldn't we? Yeah, this is dervish in a nutshell.
Yeah, now the knight's extra
that
damage
will definitely
help.
be a duck and run.
Oh yeah.
Might even get the kill. Nice. The nice one, the dervishes. More Desert Raiders on the way, and they're already intercepting what are going to start to feel like plastic knights.
I mean, the additional charge damage from the French knight makes them one of the most potent knights up against the Desert Raiders. However, whether that's enough is something we'll have to see, but this is what we're talking about. LucifroN, the food is a real problem, and this is when it matters most, because the knights are directly in, undermesh is in. This is the dive point we were talking about.
Get to the wood. Just get to the wood. Wait, what? The ungarrison gets the other side of it. Desert Raiders hold the choke point. But half of the woodworkers aren't inside right now. A panic gate coming in. Beasty culls the herd, though. Up to 7 worker kills. Going to be more than that by the end. Make it 8. And he's got to be feeling great.
That's exactly the kind of damage Beasty has to find with this heavy feudal investment. to make it pay off and give him the breathing room needed to potentially find his own age up quite soon. And 8 villages, that's great start here for Beasty indeed. And considering the French bonus, of course, you can see he's 4 ahead on top of that 8 lead that he had built up because of the faster production from the French TC. So great timing found here by Beasty, and it's just gonna go again. The workers are just relegated to the woodline at this point.
That wall isn't up. The wall isn't safe, by the way.
No,
like,
not anymore.
If Beasty just realizes it, yep, just go in. Scrambles out the other side. This could be a trap, though. Ooh.
Yeah.
He's tempting fate there. LucifroN almost had him hook, line, and sinker. The knights keep creeping, though, and Beasty is beating LucifroN at his best form, raiding.
Up to 13 kills now, Beasty almost doubling the villager count at this point in time. Dervishes find a little raid, cause some idle time, but they just trade their lives for it instead. And again, another charge through. Beasty so good with these raids.
You can't dive the French TC. That's the difference with these Desert Raiders. Knights can. They've got armor. That's what really matters here. It's just brutal. So LucifroN, I mean, he's got, I think, 1 big Hail Mary at this. 16 Desert Raiders. Does he sense that it's go time is what I'm wondering. Because, like, surely you don't just try to play this out on economy.
No, definitely not. And go time is exactly what LucifroN needs right now, I think, because this is the timing where Beasty is probably dreading quite significantly. The Royal Institute is coming up, but look at that. The Desert Raiders now exceed the Knights, and they don't even need to exceed them to actually beat them an age ahead especially. LucifroN knows he's going to start marching forward. Now, undermesh is a problem. The complete lack thereof for LucifroN means that diving is going to be ever harder for him. But Beasty is all over in his base. You can see the wars coming up. He needs them desperately. The deer, as well as the gold there towards the south of his side, are all exposed and extremely necessary for him to survive in this position. Straightaway veterancy is coming in. Royal Bloodlines as well. But Royal Bloodlines especially, it's going to be a long time till that's in.
Yeah. And we have to remember, LucifroN's still got plenty of gold jingling around in his pockets. That 5th relic now on the way home is padding against the losses a bit. And all it takes is 1 good raid. All right, we'll call that the appetizer. Needs more. Wall being built over here. Hasn't been completed yet. Could end up getting intercepted, but instead LucifroN just believes it's already been done. He'll go for the burn through. He's looking for the back gold.
It's the timing as well, right? Even though he may not be sure whether the wall is finished or not, it's way faster to just burn it in this position than try to go around it in this case. And he's just going to do just that. Gold is now gone. Beasty, no more except the 400 he has in the bank. Only now is Horticulture coming in for him, as he is on the berries. And the deer on the right side is still up, so food income still looking quite healthy here for Beasty. And looks like the upgrades are going to come in. This is the problem. One of the weaknesses of Desert Raiders. Raid behind it as well.
It's every time. It's this tree line. It just keeps griefing him. He keeps opening up new path after new path. The Knights are going to keep idling at the back now on the berries. More of them are on the way. Desert Raiders are going to find the way towards Beasty's. No. No, did he not see it? Oh, no.
Oh, this is a key detail. See, you must see that one of the corpses is down. Perhaps he's not looking at this very moment. Honestly, I'm surprised even Beasty is there. But those villagers finished the war, right? You can't really escape with a massive raid.
Gets in. Blocks out the retreat. Moving with them. LucifroN. It's over a double eco lead now for Beasty. He is diving, though. There's a counter raid coming in. LucifroN trying to give as good as he's receiving. He does find the gold workers being greedy. Now the full dive. He has something to sink his teeth into, but he hesitates. The arrow fire has him fearing for his life. The workers escape through the palisades, but that's pretty much all of them. There's only 15 workers left.
LucifroN barely doubling the starting villager count at this point in time. Disaster yet again for LucifroN. He's finding great damage on the other side, but even outposts are coming up now by Beasty, knowing exactly that these units are just weak to arrow fire. We had some Camel Lancers mixed in here from LucifroN, which is great, but they're actually worse against Knights than Desert Raiders when you think about it.
This is one of the scrappiest and wackiest games I think we've had in this tournament. 17 versus 41, and you can't help but feel it's just still not over. Really, seriously. I mean, the thing is, Beasty doesn't want to directly contest the Desert Raiders, so he always has to dance around the affair. Now, LucifroN did end up bringing his all the way home, so he's not actually counter-pressuring right now into economy. And while this is happening, while the space is being freed, Beasty is now pivoting into Horsemen. Desert Raider Clash does come through with the Knights. Dervish Hill's going to be there for a little bit, but will get sniped out. Interesting choice to commit to the Knights, but I mean, he has the upgrades, right? He's got the Royal Bloodlines. That's why he doesn't have to fear them. Clubs them down and punishes LucifroN for splitting his mass into two.
So far, the military wing reinforcement is kind of the only saving grace that has kept LucifroN in this so far. Those 3 units every 2 minutes, a lot of resources per minute it works out to. And that's going to be crucial here for LucifroN because his economy is virtually non-existent by this point in time. The Night Raids continue. The pressure just keeps mounting behind this. And it's exactly what Beasty needs to do whilst he gets this switch going. Now, the Horsemen do fine against Desert Raiders, but not that great, honestly. But the economic difference is what might be enough to really break LucifroN here, because there's such a big deficit. Beasty can get out so many Horsemen enough to deal with the Desert Raiders, and once again, a handful of them get trapped.
It's the Camel Lancers, though. This is the comedy of it. So he's actually not killing them quickly at all. One does go down, the other 2 escape. But he reveals it early. LucifroN, his instincts were right to just keep producing Camel Lancers, but man, is he struggling here. I mean, the only upside he's got economically is that he has less villagers to have to worry about dying.
Yeah, that's indeed a double-edged sword, in this case for sure. The relics, though, there are 5 for LucifroN, so that's straight away just 10 villages in gold income, but the clash comes in. LucifroN's wasting no time, and Beasty's full committing as well. The Knights as well as the Horsemen, it's a complete wrap, and LucifroN knows it's too much. GG is cold, and Beasty 2 up now against LucifroN, who is facing elimination.
This is quite the turn up indeed. LucifroN, one of the boogeymans of the last EGC tournament, able to top on Reload once, almost do it again. And yet Beasty is now here making a statement, ready to just turf him out with not a point on the board if LucifroN makes one more mistake. And this was a wacky game, it has to be said. LucifroN with, as you said at the start, one of the most greedy type of openings you've seen from Ayyubids. Almost looked like he was going to make it work. But Beasty's relentless aggression served him so incredibly well in this game.
Indeed it did. And you can see just how effective it was exactly in the economic count. It's just these massive hits. It wasn't like it was just a few chip raids here and there. When he found a raid, he made him bleed profusely, like right here. This catch on the wall is just absolutely brutal here for LucifroN. I can just imagine his reaction. He was not happy about this one. And Beasty, after his unfortunate defeat, 3-0 at the hands of LucifroN's brother Vortex, certainly has started his villain arc here. He had enough of losing. He's coming back in full force as he was in his previous form and looks to take out his vengeance on the other brother.
It's kind of wild, actually. And, well, with what we've got coming up next, Beasty Mongols, right? Against LucifroN's Delhi? That's... Or is it the other way around? I'm trying to remember who was left and right.
Well, it's a 50-50.
LucifroN's
Ask your
Mongols.
guesses.
Okay, so Beasty's gone Delhi. Delhi's kind of interesting, though, on this map, actually. Delhi is somewhat resilient to Dark Age rushes on docks because their fishing boats do fight back.
Yeah, Delhi's a very classic old-school pick here on Kawasan. It's always been a very solid civilization here. It's just recently, with all the DLCs that have been coming out, it just got overshadowed by so many other civilizations, right? Initially it was the Ottomans, then the Japanese came, of course. Now, of course, we have civilizations like Tughlaq. Jushi's legacy came the same time as the Japanese, of course. But they're still quite solid. They're definitely sort of second, maybe third tier of civilizations when it comes to these types of hybrid brands. Kawasan especially, and like you correctly said, their ability to withstand these Dark Age rushes because of the fishing ships, of course, that can shoot. It's an understated advantage and can make a big, big difference here. And when it comes to fighting in the feudal age, few do it better than Delhi.
I just realized as well is if you look at the snipe system, like when you look at it like this, you distinctively think that when you snipe something, it grays out. So it just kind of looks like Beasty picked Delhi twice.
That's it, yeah, for sure. It's like, you know, pick which Sultanate you want to face, the Delhi or the Tughlaq, and looks like LucifroN has made his choice. No surprise there, seeing Jushi being sniped out by Beasty. That is not a civilization you want to face, especially as the Delhi. That's a hard enough counter on a regular map, never mind on Jushi's arguably best map in the game.
Yeah, and it's a pick that, like, when you think about it, I don't think you're overly panicking about Dry Arabia or Gorge for Sushi. It's not that they can't play that map, but it's not like, oh my god, this is the best map possible, right? It's like the difference between facing Tughlaq on Dry Arabia or facing them on Phrygian Marshes, for example.
Exactly right, exactly right. I'm curious to see if we do see Jushi coming out later, potentially, because I feel like they really haven't got a chance to show themselves since the Pro Scout nerf, always playing second fiddle to China, right? But really, they still, even back then, had some very interesting and also potent timings compared to China, even though overall they might be just a little bit weaker in the long run, especially. I'm curious to see if we do see them today. That would be nice. But Mongols against Delhi, another really classic matchup, isn't it? Often very feudal heavy, and it seems to go back and forth a lot.
Yeah, it's weird because recently we've seen Mongols just start to go full Dark Age aggression. It works out pretty well on land maps. Whereas you go back like a year, that almost seemed kind of comical because that guy has a healer. Why would he care that you're doing this, right? But the more that Delhi players have become reliant on Dome of Faith and having a lot of scholars, I feel like the better Mongols have started to look. You know, it's not a dominant matchup necessarily for them, but I feel like go back just a year ago, this matchup feels a lot more playable for Mongols now.
Yeah, absolutely right. And there's good reasons for it as well, right? I think a big difference maker for them specifically was the Deerstones change, right? The access to the additional range with the Khan's Hunter means that they just have the better archer at the end of the day. Combine that, of course, with the Khan's Signal Arrow, used when it matters most, can be a massive difference maker in these fights. Of course, heavy cavalry with the Keshik, it might be the worst heavy cavalry in the feudal age when you think about it, but against horsemen, right, against light units, it does great work because of that healing, even against the Ghazi with the extra damage to heavy. The problem is, if you overextend with them, right, the Ghazi speed and the surround, it can be really scary, but in a well-controlled fight, the Keshik always comes out on top.
Yeah, it's the challenge to make sure that, you know, you have to respect the fact there will be more Ghazi than there are Keshiks, and you have to be careful with the micro element. I think that's the biggest challenge you run into, is like a good player will pull those injured Ghazi away, send them back, few scholars, bump them up to full. Whereas the tricky part of Keshiks has always been, you can heal too? Oh, really? How do I do it? Yeah, you have to fight, but I'm already on 10% HP. Yeah, you're gonna have to fight. Damn it. It's not a nice feeling sometimes.
Maybe Beasty will start building walls and the Keshiks can start healing off of them, right?
Oh, what a nice
around
guy.
those side sites, right? Potentially. I'm curious to see, because the walls, I mean, technically makes a lot of sense. Quite cheap walls on those spawns, so it would be a good little point there for Beasty, but quite expensive.
I'll see how this one's going to play out. Beasty, clean execution on the score so far. 2-0 up. LucifroN making his last stand here. A best-of-5 elimination. He trusts the Mongols to try and beat Beasty's Delhi on Kawasan.
And we saw before, LucifroN, when he had his back against the wall, 0-2, up against Anatand, this was the map where he was on his way to making a massive comeback, and he did so in stunning fashion, also as the Mongols. I'm curious to see if we're going to see another heavy, poignant aggression game here from him to make the difference when it matters most. Gonna be a dock opening, actually, so no spearmen. Makes a lot of sense, as we mentioned, right? Not really much that Delhi has to fear when it comes to Dark Age. As long as they just get the gold needed to age up, the dock is going to be pretty safe when it comes to that. And this is always funny, I find. When they dock the same pond, and one of them is Delhi, to what level do you gather fish as opposed to attacking the opponent's fish?
Oh, for the love of God, I just got a flashback to Confluence with that statement. Please don't. I think you're pretty safe. You have to remember that the Delhi's fishing boats are pretty weak in the Dark Age. Like, they're good against land units, but if there's any passive healing, it feels kind of irrelevant. Like, there is an argument that you can shoot gather, and it's quite nice. I just don't think it's worth it unless you can guarantee something gradually. So we'll probably see him just focus on getting his own greed up. The nice thing about this, like, Delhi feels really good against Mongols in these environments because you know they just can't realistically try Dark Age Rush with how close the fishing is to the docks because your boats are protected. So you just end up with a predictable play out of Mongols because they know this. Whereas, like, if you think earlier today, we had the Louis game versus Marine Lord where he had Mongols against Shu Shi, and in that game, Marine Lord began by acting as if he was going to get Dark Age rushed. Whereas Delhi don't really fear that.
They really don't, and an overlooked detail, right, is that scholar that Delhi obtained for free from either their first mosque or their first dock. In this case, it's a dock, of course. We see the one garrison slot is going to be that scholar, and that's also going to boost the production speed of this dock, considering that Beasty is now already one fishing ship ahead, and is now going to be 2 ahead before LucifroN gets his 3rd fishing ship online. That's a nice little extra bonus here for Beasty. It's going to serve him quite well. The mill is already up as well at this point in time, as well as the lumber camp. So forestry on the way, as well as wheelbarrow.
LucifroN scouting on lay of the lands here, see if there's maybe an opportunity to raid with Keshiks on opening the age. Always a good idea. It's a double fort gold, actually, in fairness. But Beasty has it pretty close to the tree line, so could even realistically envision some walls down the line.
It looks like LucifroN is going to be the first to age up here, prioritizing the earlier gold move out compared to Beasty. Of course, Beasty, even if he wanted to go for a fast age up, he still realistically, optimally wants to invest further in terms of wood, specifically to get that lumber camp, get that mill, potentially the mosque as well. Maybe you can do one of them whilst you're aging up instead, but you know, you do want to get them ASAP for sure. And so it looks like Beasty is going to make the mosque as his last building of choice before going for the feudal age, probably just before he starts creeping up. And the Khan, as he does normally, being very annoying. But this is another nice thing for Beasty here. The scholar is already there. You can heal this guy, no problem.
Sometimes it feels like a bit of a liability when you don't have any pressure coming in. Because, like, oh, I just wish this guy was at home researching. Because, like, the trade-off, obviously, is once you tech up, you're not going to have military efficiency rating for you to pump Ghazi fast. But out here is a glorious advantage to make sure that even if there was 1 or 2 spearmen, you just don't care.
Yeah, especially because the way the dock links to the mosque network, it can be a little inconsistent with some upgrades. There's some small issues when it comes to that, but shouldn't make too big of an impact here. At the end of the day, it is not a full water map. Dome of the Faith on the way here for Beasty. Wheelbarrow almost finished by this point in time. You know, Deerstone is now complete for LucifroN.
It will be an immediate opening into the aggression. Magadai going to be on the way. Makes a lot of sense what we've seen in the past. The idea being, like, your opponent's going to be really heavy on the tree line, so you can just try to snipe them out there. Does mean you're a little bit susceptible, though, because you should be expecting Ghazi from your opponent. Oh, wait, am I being baited by the double... Yeah, I'm being baited by the double overlay.
Yeah, there's a little double overlay issue going on here. It's actually going to be the Keshiks first. I was squinting my eyes there, seeing, like, what am I looking at here?
I was like, the Magadai is bold, but I can see the logic of the tree line. But, like, you're going to want to get off of it quick. It's like, no, okay, that makes more sense. So just double Keshik into double.
It very well could still be Mangudai as the secondary unit of choice here from LucifroN. It's always useful just having 4 of them alongside a Khan Santa. That's always going to be such an annoying raiding force for Beasty to deal with. Similar to how we saw Beasty utilize the Horse Archers in the first game of the series. You just make a few, always keep your opponent on his toes, then you build towards your main composition with the Archers, with the Keshiks. And Beasty putting respect on those Keshiks. Spearman down the field, second one in queue at this point in time.
It's the military efficiency. It's like, this is the problem. Has he got a mosque in his base? He probably hasn't right now, right? So, like,
yeah, doesn't look like it.
So if you don't have efficiency, you can't really justify Ghazi, can you? It's a little bit slow on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Scholars. Right. There's always the weird thing with this type of build with Dome of Faith. Like, I'm not going to say Tower of Victory is better, but it puts you in a really torn position because you want to produce scholars. So you have to go back and go to another mosque anyway before you can even get your first technologies.
It's one of the reasons Delhi has fallen a little out of favor recently as well on this hybrid map. It's the slowness, because they need so much infrastructure to really maximize their potency, right? Because you're talking about the mill, the mosque in this case as well, despite having the Dome of the Faith, leads to this early pressure, susceptibility to it, as idle time on the woodline is caused, with no significant damage. You can see those Keshiks. The fact that they're heavy cavalry doesn't make as big of a difference when it comes to diving those TCs without undermesh taking so much damage so early.
Nice use of naval arrow slits. You can see that LucifroN doesn't really want to play the pawn. He's just fixated on shutting down the land, and Beasty's really far behind there. We have to remember that the eco count, military count rather, is like a little bit warped. The fishing boats still calculate into the military, right? So he's showing a bit more inflated than he should.
Actually, I don't know. I think...
Actually, no.
Did it get fixed? I think it got fixed. I think it's
it got fixed.
It's
Ottomans, isn't it?
Yeah,
Ottomans
that's right.
Still the issue?
Yeah, it is the Ottomans, I believe. But the scholars do count towards it as before, right? So that is why the inflation is there. And yeah, so there was no Mango Die on the menu for LucifroN. He's just, as he did against Anatan, right? It's just all out aggression, no eco upgrades, straight for the undermesh.
Yeah, this is kind of fitting from what I've been seeing as well. Like Vortex and the KPMMs, every time, just mass Keshiks. It's his end goal. Right, so the archers, sure, there's a lot of them right now, but it's because Beasty has forced him. If he's ever given an opportunity to just raw build Keshiks, you're going to see the Spaniards play this like a bootlegged French.
And effective it can be indeed, because of this early pump that the Mongols are able to put out. These Keshiks, of course, they don't have to worry about going back and healing like the French knights do, despite obviously being way weaker head-on. They can keep fighting.
Go back, you go in.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's the only way you get to heal. I mean, it's a pretty smart war strat. Like, oh man, I'm really injured. Can we maybe go home and like, I don't know, like get some warm soup? No! The enemy has got band-aids in their pockets. Kill them. Okay.
Their stones finding great value here too, being fantastically utilized here by LucifroN, not only to draw some aggro from these units, but also to speed up his reinforcements, of course. That's going to be great tool for him to utilize. The military pump just doesn't stop. More archers, more Keshiks. Undermesh is finished. Naturally, Steeled Arrow is next for him. And as these upgrades come in, I mean, Beasty, you know, he's not even... I mean, he's probably thinking about the blacksmith, but affording it is a different matter entirely, especially when being idled on the woodline like this. And this is the kind of timing that makes this so scary for the Delhi.
Beasty. Plenty of spears to hold for now, but that could get torn apart with the Deer Stones effect. Ghazi are going to rotate around the back. Go straight onto the archers. He's going to bypass and just move out of range of that Deer Stone aura, so not really that fast anymore. Gives a pretty good fight across the Beasty. The Keshiks, however, have dove in from the east side. They find the workers, starting to cut them down. It's like Textiles was in effect, so minimize the losses just 2. Keshiks are now just going to body block the Ghazi. They're going to stick back on those archers. I feel like LucifroN is being turfed out entirely here.
Yeah, the backstep from the Ghazis was just way too much there going to deal with right before Steeled Arrow had come in as well. And we saw there was just not enough archers to actually one-shot these spearmen, which is what you despise to see as the archer player. It hurts so much when you know that you cannot back out of the fight in that position. Now, LucifroN is paying the price for it as his mass is severely dwindled as well as his fishing.
You get that feeling with like 3 minutes from a GG.
Yeah.
It's kind of getting that tickling in it, right? Like, I mean, Kawasan is that type of map. And LucifroN never wanted to like hang in there when he thinks it's just over. If he instinctively believes it's done, it's done. And if this dot goes down, I mean, you've got no economical upside whatsoever. You're already being forced to play under Deer, which is likely to get blocked as well. The Keshic count, not really something that Beasty ever needs to truly fear in its current state.
And the worst part for LucifroN is, this was his sole ticket in this game. It was all in. Not a single additional fishing ship has been produced. He needed this to work, otherwise he's eternally economically and militarily behind. And guess what? It did not work. The backstab was too much. And it's just suffering from here on forward for him in this game. Now double blacksmith on the way for Beasty. He found the breathing room necessary, and when those upgrades start coming in, there's a decent number of scholars on the field by now as well. Even potentially sacred sites might be on the cards for Beasty, and that military number just keeps swelling.
It feels like this has been the name of the game every single game for LucifroN. Think about it. Game 1, Game 2, Game 3. Yeah, Game 2 had the tech up, but the goal was then into immediate aggression. It just feels like he's tried to take these incredibly aggressive lines, and Beasty, all that experience in the past, being the defender, aiming for late game. Sure, it's not really his target these days, but being in that meta, being so refined in that meta, it's that type of instinct you never truly lose. He was ready for these timings, and it's just left LucifroN with little to no backup plan each time it backfires.
Top of that, the Deer Stones as well has fallen by now. No additional vision, no additional aggro draw, and no additional speed for LucifroN. Completely without a landmark at this stage. The only thing he's got going for him really is that dock, which is preventing Beasty's fishing from getting too out of control because of the arrow slits. It's just so annoying to deal with. He has swelled up yet again. There's a good number of archers and Keshiks, but Beasty was thinking about a castle age.
Yeah, he might get forced to reinvest. He's very greedy if he goes castle plus double dock. If he just defends this though, like this should be LucifroN's Hail Mary punch. You know, if this doesn't connect, realistically you are looking at outscale fully.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just biding his time. Now that he has his blacksmiths and advantage in fishing, he knows he doesn't really have to wait here. He doesn't have to engage here whatsoever, I mean. And the only curious detail is the fact that he actually prioritized Steeled Arrow for any kind of melee upgrades. I guess he's expecting the dive, so he wants the arrow fire from the garrisons to be more potent. That does make sense, but I can't help but
clearly
feel
it's
like
the
melee
fishing boats,
upgrades would
Myriad.
help. Well, that too. It will be helpful now because actually they're all pulled up. Look at that.
What is going on? Beasty's focused on land right now. He's being attacked.
That's a bit of a
East side
problem.
fight here. I mean, he can't look away from this. He's chasing onto it. Start step from LucifroN. He's trying to keep the attention. The fishing boats are still getting sniped. They haven't been pulled away at all. Movement speed arrow gets activated to kite more. He's getting rid of it all. Look at the fishing count at the top. He was at 13 before. He's down to 6.
At this point, he's actually behind in economic count to LucifroN. Every single fishing ship is dying, KP, for this fight. And the fight isn't even that decisive here for Beasty. He jumped in without the undermesh. Only now has it finished. The archers are cleaned up, but the Geshik count is still looking pretty healthy here. Literally every single fishing ship, bar 1 or 2, has fallen.
I think the green arrow is on board on that boat. What a miracle comeback. LucifroN, this game was steering against him. Things were looking bleak and dark. But with that one strike, a breath of life, maybe some hope. There's still concerns here. Beasty is still trending towards Castle Age. And he's still set up on both ponds while LucifroN is barely holding onto one. So it's a step in the right direction. LucifroN needs another miracle. Maybe like one Keshik in the tree line that goes unnoticed to really get back into this game.
A miracle indeed is what it would take. As you mentioned, this is a great start, but it's only the first step needed towards this victory. Never mind, considering the fact that this is only one game of 3 that he needs to come back in this series. But he's gonna keep circling. Checks the woodland again, but Beasty has shifted to the south one. Sees the heavy gold gathering. So gets confirmation that he really needs that castle. Well, he really wants that castle age, but this might be enough to actually bait LucifroN in because Beasty has been investing still continuously behind this, and
look at the
can be a
recoup.
good move. Yeah.
It's a lot of Ghazi already. It's going to be a lot more. And this is where it gets risky. You can be diving into production where light cav can come out on top of your archers. It's tricky to do. You see the hesitation. LucifroN really just taking his time about it. Tries to move through. Ghazi spears will turn onto him. Can be a full chase. Ghazi looking for the surround. Keshik's tried to intercept, but there's way too many of them. They're wrapping around the back, straight pass. Like a buzzard of bees. They hop on top of the archers to crush them down. Keshik just can't stand against this. Too many spears still alive. LucifroN gonna lose the bulk of the army. Beasty's reinvestment in the feudal reasserts control.
Just a beautiful bait and switch here by Beasty on the defense, knowing exactly what he's playing for in this case and understanding his advantage perfectly. Getting LucifroN to dive into his base as deep as he possibly can before he pounces. Even the villagers are smelling and getting thirsty for blood at this point in time. They're on the front line alongside the scholars. LucifroN has very little military left and very few hopes left in this game. Although Beasty, the full investment did cost him. At this point, he's very far away from Castle Age.
But look at the advantage, right? Like the remax into fishing boats. He's back up to 11. Remember, he's down to 3 about, what, a minute and a half ago? He's got double dock here, double dock on the other ponds. No docks for LucifroN. Like, this was meant to be the punch to get some damage done, to make LucifroN feel like he was alive, but he is dead on the water, dead on land, and dead in the EGC Masters Finals. Beasty will kick him out of the tournament with a dominant 3-0 performance.
Similarly to Marine Lord, who got pushed down 3-0. Into the losers bracket, Beasty had suffered the same fate last week, and just like Marine Lord struck back in force with a 3-0, Beasty does the exact same here, with a decisive victory over the one LucifroN. Beautiful series here by Beasty, a much needed one, not only to regain his confidence as well in this tournament, but also to keep himself in this tournament in the first place.
Absolutely. A well-earned victory coming out from Beasty. Congrats to him on the 3-0. Didn't even need Sengoku to do it, Myriad. Nope, just needed the... Actually, only got sniped once as well, by the way. Like, we were kind of expecting a bit more snipage. I do love the Delhi Tuklak to just kind of force this weird position. But commiseration LucifroN, kind of crazy, actually. Like, I think a lot of people maybe had this as a close series in mind, especially when you look at LucifroN's last S-tier tournaments performance.
Exactly, like these two often went back and forth very evenly in the past, right? And that could have been the case here as well, because LucifroN had come back from a break earlier this year and is looking in great form again. Beasty had his break more recently, but today the difference was clear. Beasty in top shape. LucifroN might be having an off day behind this as well, which does happen, but when it matters most, the performance has to be there, otherwise elimination is inevitable.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're now ready to talk to Beasty himself and go over the tournament so far and this win. Beasty, congrats on the win, mate. A great performance, and I imagine a much-needed statement after the shock and awe of that upper bracket beginning for this tournament.
Thank you. Can you hear me, first of all? I didn't
Yep,
do a mic
we can
check.
hear you.
I messed up. Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. Honestly, I didn't know how this was gonna go because obviously last week was pretty bad, but I started prepping, like actually prepping this week. So I was like, why do I always like wait to lose? Because I feel like every tournament I lose first, and then I'm like, okay, if I lose again, I'm out. So yeah, I've been practicing. I've been like looking at the drafts and civs and stuff like that. So I feel like I prepped pretty well this week. So it worked out. But the funny thing is the practice hasn't been going too well. I think I won more games today than I did in the last 5 days combined. So yeah, but I guess it did pay off in the end.
What was that saying? You learn more from a loss than a win, right? Like you only get better by playing better person.
Yeah. I mean, I did learn a lot. Like every game I learned, but I'm just like, I can't get it right. So yeah, today things I feel like worked out in my favor. I think my biggest weakness before was probably drafting. Like I was really, really bad at it. This time around, I think it was a lot better for me. So yeah, it worked out.
I like the impossible choices, like the Tuklak or Delhi. You're going to hate either one, I get. What do you think of the current drafting system, by the way? Like, it's a bit different than what we've been having for a long time. Like, you know, you just pick and you go. We now have the snipe system. Do you like that? Do you see it as a big improvement? Or does it feel like it's got a lot of exploitable?
Drafting is always hard, but now it's like even harder because sometimes you can force really awkward situation on the opponent. I think Anotan had that last week where he had to pick Golden Horde and Frisian Marches, and he didn't even want to play it. So it's like if you either mess up the draft or the opponent lets you have some civ and then you don't have a civ for another map, it can be pretty problematic. It's part of the reason why I wanted him to play Ottoman, because I didn't want Ottoman on Kalasan, and I was fine playing against Jushi or Mongol. So I was like, even if I lose that game, you know, I still get to play Kalasan, the matchups that I want. So I was fine with that. But I think it's really interesting. It's really cool that we have these snipes, but it also makes the game a lot harder even. Because, yeah, you have to learn quite a bit in the drafting.
Yeah, And how do you feel about LucifroN as an opponent today? Because like my take on it, I almost felt like he had a train to catch. You know, like there was no let up. I know we've always known him as a raider, but it almost felt more Vortex-esque with how all in he was.
Yeah, it's always hard to know, especially with the brothers, whether it's Canadian or Spanish. Like, what are they practicing? I feel like I took a lot of the civs that LucifroN likes as well. So maybe he was put on like civs that he necessarily, I don't know, didn't like play as much. Like, for example, I know he loves French, loves Roose, stuff like that. So yeah, I felt I have I think a pretty good win rate against LucifroN. I think it's just a mashing of styles that works in my favor. Like, I think we kind of play somewhat similar, but I guess mine is just a bit better than his, because that's just kind of how it works sometimes, So I think I have a bit of an advantage there, not necessarily in skill.
Now, like, speaking of advantage, disadvantage, you said, like, this kind of feeling sometimes you have to lose before you go and do the research. We just had, I think, a reasonably significant patch that should change a few things. How do you feel about your odds for the tournament? We heard from Marine Lord, he's like, I wish it was longer. I'd feel better if the tournament was longer and I had more time. Do you see this spin up, these changes, as an advantage for you, or a bigger challenge to overcome?
Honestly, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just too old, but like 22 civs is way too many for me. Like, I had a matchup like yesterday that I never played, and I'm like, I don't even know what units I'm supposed to make. It was something like weird, like some weird interactions with the units, and I was like, I generally don't know how this interaction goes. So it's becoming like extremely hard to even have the experience. Like, there's a very good chance that you're going to play a matchup in a tournament you just never seen or played. So I think with the recent patch, I think it honestly, it depends what you abused and used. Like, if you just relied on Shinobi, Sengoku, and healer elephants, this is probably pretty bad for you. But I didn't spend like crazy amount of time practicing those sims, because those like healer elephants were so broken that there was no way they're not going to get nerfed. So I felt like just investing time into every civ was probably better long term. So this recent patch probably, helped me, and it removed a lot of the annoying stuff from the game, I think.
All right, I've got to ask you to round this out. Lower bracket run. I mean, it's an incentive, right? You haven't got that pattern like those people in the upper bracket. But looking at this bracket right now, obviously you had some experience with Vortex. Is that your big boogeyman? Is that the big scare in this bracket, or is there someone else that is your number one target that you need to beat, that you have to beat?
I mean, honestly, I think everyone's really good. Like, I've been saying this for a while, but everyone's just really, really good. So I don't think there's an easy opponent anymore. Back in the day there was, but I don't think there is one anymore. Obvious one, is going to be if both Marine Lord and I win, right? But I do think that going into best of sevens and best of nines, usually Marine Lord and I do well at in the tournaments, and I think those longer series favor us. So I'm excited to be moving away from best of fives and into sevens, and maybe 9. We'll see.
It's crazy how much difference makes. I remember seeing the group stage for like people like Scarlet Devil. I was like, on a best of 3, that guy's kind of wild. And unfortunately, we're starting to BF5s. It's a completely different ball game. But Beasty, mate, it's been
sorry.
No, sorry.
I think even best of 5s, you can get like sometimes an unlucky matchup, and it can dictate the rest of the draft, and it can be pretty scary. So best of 7s, here we go.
Well, congrats again, mate. I'm going to let you get a little bit of rest, a little bit of chill time, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the rest of the games in the background.
Thank you. Bye-bye.